Welcome back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the We Got Y'all podcast. Of course, I'm not here alone. I am here with my amazing friend, confidant, travel, Mr. Come See About Me. Come put some eyes on me.
Had to.
Go leave me. Go be a first time uncle. Put your
Woo!
eyes on baby Josie. We got Uncle Kai in the house.
Shout out to you for that, man. That was an incredible intro because Uncle Kai is probably gonna be it, man.
I
That's
feel
my
like,
favorite title right now.
yeah.
Listen, we tell you as often as we are able to. We don't have any kids, right? Rachel
Right.
or nor myself have any children. My first niece was born last Tuesday, 6 days ago. And when I tell you I've never felt a feeling like that, like a love at
Oh,
first sight, like that, I don't know this girl, but ASAP, I got you. Like one of those
period.
moments, it's crazy, man. And it was even more crazy when it, have you listened to the From Cold to Summer song? Summer Walker's, you might not have. It was on Summer Walker's out. Either way, there's a line that J. Cole had about there's a line J. Cole had about being emotional since he had all
Hmm.
these kids. And like I understand, I never really understood that. And I don't, like I said, Josie's not my daughter, she's my
Yeah.
niece. But like I understand like certain things just made me. I was driving back from Cincinnati to Cleveland and just listening to certain songs and they just hit different.
It
It's
hit
like
different.
getting teary-eyed about stuff. And I'm just like, where did this come from? And I
Not
think
you
it's
never knew a
Josie.
love like this before.
Hey, straight up, man. So shout out to Josie, man. Also, shout out to Ray P. I did pull up on Ray P for her birthday.
You
Y'all
did.
know good and damn well I do not play about Rachel. Um, I don't play about Rachel the same way Rachel don't play about her birthday, and that's
And
serious. One might say a serious matter, but uh, had a great time in Charlotte, pulling up on Rachel. Just had time just to chill and breathe, and like I just be around people that you enjoy. Unlike the ladies in White Lotus,
Ooh,
just be around real genuine
yeah,
friendship and connection, and
for
just a
sure.
great time. Ate well,
Drank too much.
drank too much. Jazz music was incredible. Like just
Yeah,
good overall vibes and energy. I think we all needed it. Shout out to JP. I'm gonna give JP another shout out this episode.
for sure.
Um, but either way, all of that, man.
I
And
want to
I'm glad
thank
to.
you before
So
you
what?
even just get into it. I just want to thank you. Yeah, Kyra really did turn me up for my birthday. Like,
Mm,
that's my dog. I'm
yes.
appreciative. And I did not, it was kind of funny because I did not include all of my Charlotte people, just because space was limited everywhere that I wanted to go. Usually it's a bit more open and kind of a free for all, but I was a bit selective. And after after mixing groups has gone wrong, uh, this went real right.
Yeah, it
Went
did.
real right all weekend. Everybody spoke so highly, like, oh, that's your dog. And that's my dog.
Yes,
So I
sir.
just appreciate you for showing up, for being
Oh man,
you. I just love
yeah.
you. I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Deep.
Nah, man, that's real, man. I like Rachel. We can do this the whole episode. It might be
I
more.
know.
It might be more entertaining than episode three. Definitely more entertaining than episode three. But
For
Rachel, man,
sure.
I love you deeply. I love you dearly. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing. I'll Rachel and myself have been cool since we were 18,
Yeah.
and it's been beautiful to watch our relationship just grow with us. Because that's as Rachel likes to say, that can
20
get
years,
tricky.
Jody Joe.
Yeah, that can get. Let's see what you had 20 years. That can get tricky, man. It's
Yeah.
not the maintaining friendship; it's the growing part. And
Hmm.
not only have we grown, we've grown closer and
Yeah.
stronger over the years. And it's not just because of the pod; it's just because of the genuine. Just we see each other, we understand each other. Like y'all don't know how often Rachel and myself like are literally thinking the same thing or say the same thing, or one of us says something and the other's like, "I was just about to say that."
Yeah.
We just kind of had that connection, and that's rare. And I think the older we get, we realize how rare it is.
For sure.
Because one thing about getting older, people get weirder.
Ooh, my Lord.
More weird might be the right term, but y'all get what I'm saying? So Rachel, I say all that to say, man, I really appreciate you. I appreciate being invited. I appreciate being welcomed in your home, in your space. Rachel does not play about her space, and just being there. So it was a great time. Can't wait to continue this as a tradition.
And my
Um,
new couch still ain't came. I cussed them people out. Go
That's
ahead.
crazy. That's crazy. Nah, man, it's gonna be the tradition, not just a birthday, but just pulling up on big time events. And it was fitting that Rachel and myself got some really cool news that we'll disclose at another time.
Yeah.
But us being together, getting that news, especially when the inquiry took place many weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I think everything happens for a reason. So
Sure.
shout out to you, Ray P, man. Happy
Shout out.
birthday to you as well.
Thank you.
Happy yeah. Way to start March. Way to start March,
Way to
man.
start March.
But we are here to
We are.
discuss television.
Yes.
Um, White Lotus season 3. We're
Mhm.
continuing. Welcome to everyone. Thank you for all your support. Thanks for listening, for tuning in. I want to say for those of you, and it's funny because there might be some people who are listening to this that says, "What the hell is Raising Canaan? What's that?" But for those of you who are waiting on Raising Canaan, we will be recording this
Yes.
week. If it does not come out Wednesday, Thursday, or I say Thursday, if it doesn't
Yeah.
come out by Thursday, then we'll definitely have it by Saturday afternoon. We'll just double up on the episodes. The
Mm-hmm.
plan is to have episode 1 out by Thursday and episode 2 out by Saturday, Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case is. We're definitely excited to get that back going on the We Got Y'all feed. Please make sure you subscribe, comment, like, tell a friend, tell a friend. But once again, we're talking about episodes 3 and 4 of the White Lotus, season 3. Spoilers and explicit content before we begin, and this is currently streaming on Max. The show was created by Max White and Rachel.
Yes.
Let's kick this off by let me say something real quick.
Okay.
And this is going to be a hot take.
Yeah. Ooh.
This is going to be a very hot take. Max White,
Mm-hmm.
the creator of the White Lotus,
Mm-hmm.
he right now is listening to the multiple podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
He's reading all of the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
He's reading all of the comments, and he's
Mm-hmm.
kicking his feet up somewhere. And he's just saying, just you motherfuckers wait.
Yes.
My hot take is that the best episode of the White Lotus between all 3 seasons is going to take place at some point this season. That's I have a feeling that he is like, you know what? He is constructing a story so meticulously that that's the only thing I can come up with. Like one of these last 4 episodes of this season is going to give us the effect that Paradise episode 7 had on the internet. It's going to do that, and I think some people might be saying that. Do you see that being something that is likely, unlikely, or is it still up in the air for you?
I am extremely hopeful that what you're saying is correct. I hope that the penultimate, I hope it's before that, but maybe the penultimate just blows our minds. Because in all honesty, I've sang the praises of White Lotus seasons 1 and 2 upon first watch. And season 3, I was so excited to get in here and talk to y'all about it. It's not curling all the way over for me. Especially for shows that we are going to cover, in that first watch, especially, I try to just watch it. I don't do notes in the first watch. I just want to see. I try not to have my phone so I'm not distracted and missing things. But I have found that all 4 of these episodes have been hard to maintain my regimen because other than a few pops of something, a few flashes of lightning, it's just not doing it for me. So I hope that the best is yet to come. I think he's reading these comments like, okay, it's coming, but also, damn, maybe I should have gone back to the writer's room.
Yeah, I got a question for you, but before I ask you, I got a question and a general statement to make about what you just said. But
Mm-hmm.
before I ask you, I also want to shout you out for all of you listening. Rachel is thugging it out right now. All right. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on audio and things just sound different, Rachel is the consummate professional. The length she had to go to even record this evening. If you knew, you would just salute to her. So I just want to, if things sound a little bit different, I just want to let y'all know Rachel showed up. Shout out to her.
Bruh.
All right. So one thing that we talk about a lot on the Culture Garden is how much cities or locations can play the role of a character
For
in
sure.
a film.
For sure.
And sometimes without you even knowing, it plays, it's maybe the main character, if not second on the call list. Like, right, cities and locations can be that important. How much of that do you feel plays into this, with Thailand just not being that interesting of a character, along with coming off what might be the most, outside of Africa, which we talked about, coming off what might be the most interesting character to film, which was Italy. Like it had kind of a double curse coming off a season. Not only the season was strong, but the location was strong. And this doesn't even feel like a resort. I don't know.
Ooh. See, okay. I want to say, I want to answer that a couple ways.
Okay.
I do think that Thailand is interesting. I don't think we're getting enough of Thailand the way we got of Italy. Now, in Hawaii, yeah, we got Hawaii, but I think season 2 it was much more of a character than in season 1. And so I think that they are piggybacking, quote unquote, off of that. But for whatever reason, what we're seeing of the island just isn't pulling.
And now that you say that, that makes complete sense. And that's why, all right, that kind of helps my thought on things about the heat up in these last 4 episodes, because we're now in episode 4 starting to see them go off the resort. We see the girls go off the resort and into the actual city. We see I think Rick is going to Bangkok. Like yes, you're starting to see a lot more of that. So they're gonna have a perfect mix of the two. The other thing I was gonna say was anthology series can get tricky.
Yeah.
You can't expect. I remember season 1 of True Detective when it came out, and all of the lore that it received. And I remember season 2 coming out, and it was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
It's just it's they're different when you bring in new casts, new situations. It doesn't always work.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going like I don't think anybody's batted 1,000 when it comes to anthology. Maybe I know there are a lot of Black Mirror fans, so maybe Black Mirror. I don't think you would say that about True Detective. You definitely can't say that about White Lotus.
Yeah.
Maybe you can say it about Fargo. So, you know, it gets tricky. So I want to give him some grace because he has given us some great television. But let's go ahead and get into this. So the way we're going to do this, y'all, we're just going to be real with you. Episode 3 is going to be just a very, very, very brief summary. There are only 2 things, and I'm not even going to say have a conversation about, but really just kind of maybe briefly discussed in episode 3. And low key the same with season 4, but I mean episode 4, but there will be a little bit more. So, episode 3, the meaning of dreams. Rachel,
Yes.
the lowest rated episode of the series, all 3 seasons. The lowest rated episode since episodes 1 and 2 of season 1, which people were still trying to figure out what this is. We talked about, hey, White Lotus takes a couple episodes and then you kind of get into it. So that kind of puts you into mind what people thought about episode 3. Synopsis. Obviously, all of these episodes are directed and written by Mike White. Synopsis. Saxon gets work calls too. So Timothy enforces a no phone rule. Chelsea faces danger after going to town with Rick. Jacqueline pushes Lori toward Valentin, while Gatak fears trouble with his superiors. Here's the only thing I really want to discuss or mention on this episode. Rick is going to Bangkok. We know he's trying to meet with Charlotte's husband. We just don't know why at this point. Jacqueline, we'll talk more about that in episode 4 because got to give Rachel some more credit. Jacqueline is pressing this fling on Lori. Now, real quick, She's pressing this whole fling with Valentin on Lori. I want to get your thoughts briefly.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that Jacqueline, low key, high key, sick in the head, and really wants to push this on Lori just so she can take this nigga from her.
Yes.
I think that's what it is.
Yes.
Especially as we see, things are tricky on her home front.
Yeah.
Tim Ratliff, obviously, we know he's stressing about his soon to be announced scandal.
Mm-hmm.
It is hitting the papers. We know what's going to happen, and he starts taking some of Victoria's pills. Guy Talk is still simping. I will say this: there's a scene in episode 3 with the bodyguards where they pretty
Mm-hmm.
much mocking him. They come over, look at you. You want to do this? He was like, "I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to take your job." And the nigga said, "Nigga, you could never, you could never do that. You could
Yeah.
never do that." For some reason, I could be wrong. I feel like they're gonna push between that and old girl. They're gonna push Gata to his limit. I think he's gonna be the shooter.
Oh, so I actually don't think Guy Talk is the shooter.
Okay. There's got to be a twist, and I'm just saying, man. I just think that they keep talking about how nice he is, and I'm like, man, we know. Leave the quiet ones and them nice ones alone. I just feel like the way they talking to him, either that or he's gonna get shot. He either shooter or he getting shot. One of the two.
I think he may be a victim.
Yeah.
I think Belinda is the shooter.
I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening, and I could see Greg being the victim.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's
All
what
right. We'll put a pin on that. We'll definitely. I will clip this in the future if you're right to make sure you get your just due. All right. The most interesting scene, in my opinion, of the episode was the dinner with the
Yes.
girls. So Kate, Lori, and Jacqueline are the women's
Mm-hmm.
names. Jacqueline is trying to get a dick report from Lori on Valentin.
Mm-hmm.
Did his energy go inside you? She's trying to see what's up. The conversation of Christianity comes up, and women's role in Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
in society as a whole. When I say they, Jacqueline and Lori, Jacqueline specifically mentions how the treatment is kind of I'm sorry, Kate mentioned that the treatment was witchy to her. And
Yeah.
Jacqueline said that's kind of what I like about it, and then
Mm-hmm.
goes on this diatribe about, the women sitting on the sideline in the Bible and so on and so forth. Kate mentioned something about going to church every Sunday, and Jacqueline says, "I didn't know you go to church." Shout out to JP. Shout
Who
out to
knew?
JP. Yeah, who knew? Inside joke for y'all. As they're getting, and this is interesting. This is what the interesting part is for me.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned in our appreciation for each other about the genuine love that was shown
For
the
sure.
weekend that we celebrated your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
You see in this scene just how far apart these ladies are. And we briefly discussed this when we mentioned episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You don't know and maybe you don't know she goes to church, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you also don't know that she's an independent. You
Mm-hmm.
also don't know that her husband is a Republican.
Come
You
on.
also don't know. Are we really going to talk about Trump tonight?
Come on.
And
Come.
also, let me tell you right now, that the look that Leslie Bibb gave when Lori asked, "Wait, you didn't vote for Trump, did you?"
Baby.
Is Hall of Fame gift worthy. That's up there with Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys Targaryen has a gift with a similar face.
For sure.
And that's got to be, I want to see somebody put those side by side, because
They are.
when you talk about expression acting, that is what we mean.
Yeah.
That look that she gave her, priceless.
Priceless.
Priceless. But what did you think about this whole scene and this conversation? Not to mention, Rachel, I think at this point, by the end of episode 3, I think all 3 women had their turn in the side conversation circle.
For sure. For sure. I actually loved this scene. To your point,
Mm-hmm.
it was one of the few flashing lights of the episode. Um, I need to know the backstory of their friendship, and I very well could have missed it in one and two. Did they grow up together, or they met in
Yes.
college?
Nope. They grew up together.
They grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Remember they had the school play.
they had the school exactly.
Jacqueline, you were the head, of course.
Of course, you're right. You're right. Of course. So with that being said, I have some knowledge of who and how you are. Um, Again, this weekend, one of the attendees is somebody who I've known since I was 5 years old, who recently moved to Charlotte. She and her husband. Um, we grew up literally together.
Mm-hmm.
And through every iteration of my life, when I was in the far country, when I came back to the church, this, that, and the third. And while she may not have been an active participant, I want to say that the girlies, if we're millennials, they might be young Gen X. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So the presence of following your life through social media at best, even if we're not in close contact, would let me know, would keep me abreast of your life, essentially.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely on Facebook.
They're definitely on Facebook. So the things that you post, oh, at church group with the people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm at the law review. Oh, I'm at a premiere. Yes, but there is something about your life that I would expect you to know, especially if we're reconnecting to go across the damn world on this girls' trip.
Mm-hmm.
So we grew up together and have no knowledge of who each other is beyond the surface at this point, which is crazy and a recipe for disaster and not at all uncommon.
Not to mention, small nugget. Kate mentioned, well, you'll get to see for yourself if you ever come down to Austin to
Uh-huh.
visit me, which means
Mhm.
anything somebody said, anytime that's said like that, maybe not a serious resentment, but that, hey, I'm noticing that you have not booked a flight. You have not come down to see me
Yep.
since I moved here. And
Yep.
after time, that's why I had to pull my ass up to Charlotte. But that, that's one of those things that's, hey, I'm not saying I'm thinking about it, but I'm also noticing,
but I've
right?
noticed.
You
Yep,
know what I
because you
mean?
get
So that,
everywhere else. But also
especially when you're on the move.
you're on the move. And here's the other thing. Jacqueline and Lori, it said that they haven't really seen each other, but they probably have seen each other between New York and LA. Jacqueline, she's an
Mm-hmm.
actress.
Mm-hmm.
She's bi-coastal essentially. I don't necessarily want to go to Austin, Texas if I live in LA unless I'm moving to buy cheapish property that we've driven up the cost of living there.
Crazy.
Um and clearly they are very liberal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, no, I actually don't want to come to your conservative ass state because I just want to be free and focus on the women, the womanhood of it all.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I really loved about that conversation, not just the you didn't vote for Trump of it all, but I thought it was very interesting given that currently in society, in various church circles, uh, yoga, the divinity of yoga has become a popular topic. And
Mm.
are you just stretching or are you worshiping these other deities and these other Eastern gods? And I'm like, what the fuck? I just want to stretch. Can I get flexible, please? Can I just breathe without y'all making it something else? I don't think that God cares if I'm doing downward dog. Hello? But
Say.
don't, I just don't think he cares.
uh,
I'm just trying to take care of my temple. And y'all talking about I'm worshiping fucking Beelzebub. No, I'm not. I'm trying to stretch. So I thought that was interesting, just considering and now knowing and understanding that Kate is in Austin in these beautiful, lovely churches with these conservative, independent slash
mhm.
Republican women. So yeah, you might think that this little healing practice, this breathing treatment where I'm not actually touching you might seem a little witchy because that is the thought, that is what they say. Everything that's not this is that. So I like that touch, and I would be very curious to see what certain circles say. I do have another friend that I grew up with, and we talk and we see each other, but I fear that she's a Kate.
Mm,
She would never admit it to me,
mhm.
but I see your fruit.
She giving a face.
You give in the face or you get very silent, and your husband is a Republican. He might not have always been, but I've seen his posts too. Like, so y'all are definitely
Uh,
giving tricky.
listen, it's a real thing,
It
and
is.
it happens. And their relationship is the perfect example of of Love Jones, the film
Yeah,
Love Jones. When Nina told Marvin, man, Marvin, all we have is all these years,
yeah, yeah.
and that's just not romantic relationships. That can be friendships as well. So
Hmm.
there's a
Hmm.
trust me, plenty of people walking this earth that are holding on to relationships because of the time,
Because of the history. Woo, my
the
Lord.
the history and the length of the said relationships,
Yeah,
and that's the only thread that is keeping it together is because
yeah.
I've known this person since then. And I recently had a conversation, not to get too deep, we'll keep rolling, but about there's a difference between someone being your friend and you knowing someone, or I
My Lord.
used to know someone. I tell people all the time, like, don't ask me about at this point in my life, don't ask me about somebody I went to high school with. I have no idea who the fuck they are.
Unless we
Unless
still locked in.
we still talk
That's
all,
it.
because how I knew them at 17 doesn't mean that's who they are. 21 years is a long time
For sure.
to kind of
For sure.
dibble and dabble in different lives. So I ain't vouching for you. There's a difference. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And sometimes you realize, do I cut this thread or do I try to build on it? So we'll see what happens with the ladies, but I think we get a good idea. Maybe the trauma bond of it all by
Mhm.
the time the series ends brings them
Brings them
together.
closer.
The only thing is we might never know because, as we know, White Lotus ends on where we start. So
Yeah.
maybe we won't even see how they react to all of the chaos that's going to
Chaos.
happen,
Hmm.
as we know White Lotus to do. The only other thing that I wanted to mention about episode 3 was Belinda is. She swears she knows Greg from somewhere. She
Yeah.
pulls up on Greg. Greg says, "Nah, I'm Gary. You sure you ain't date Tanya McQuaid?" Nah, I don't know what she's talking
I
about.
don't know what
Bet.
you talking
All
about.
right. Exactly. That's going to come up. We'll talk about that in episode 4. So, speaking of episode 4, it
Hmm.
is titled Hide or Seek.
Oh, hang on. Before you jump, I also thought Chelsea getting bit by that snake is notable because clearly Rick is on one. Okay, go ahead.
Rick is on one. Maybe like very hit you over the head symbolism.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, we'll see what's going on with that. Very much, reminds me of the
Victoria.
agency.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the agency when you pointed out the rat in this office. Like there,
Hmm.
that is sometimes the symbolism is right there, and we'll
Yeah.
keep our eyes open for it
Yeah.
all. Which also she might be in the running
For the
for the
shooter?
victim for the victim.
Oh, for the victim.
Yeah, getting bit
Yeah.
by the snake. Something happened. Maybe not intentionally, but who knows?
Well, it's something with Chelsea and snakes because it was the snake at the jewelry store. She was looking at that snake necklace when they were robbed, and then now here we are. Now you've been bitten.
Hold on. Is just for reference,
Mm-hmm.
is Chelsea the daughter? I think. Are you talking about Rick's girl?
Rick's girl, yeah.
Uh,
Piper is the daughter.
Mook. Mook.
No, that's the Asian.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. I'm tripping. All right, my bad. My notes are wrong this time. Okay. Yeah, all right. That might be something. I can't see her shooting anyone, but we'll keep an eye on that. As
Mhm.
far as the synopsis for episode 4, Jacqueline's resort getaway with friends falls flat when the destination proves less exciting than expected. Meanwhile, Piper seeks support for a family announcement aboard a yacht, and Rick reveals his past to Chelsea. Rachel,
Yeah.
I'll go out and say this is the best rated episode of the season. Once
Mhm.
again, kind of a low bar, no disrespect to the show, but just season it just really hasn't been that interesting. And I said it. I'll give myself a tad bit of credit. 6 episodes seems to be perfect for this.
Mhm.
If this was a 6 episode series, this would technically be episode 2,
Yeah.
and I think it's starting to find its footing. So we finally are getting here. So imagine episode 2 of seasons 1 and 2. It's kind of the same type of thing.
For
What were
sure.
your overall thoughts watching episode 4 compared to the other 3?
Episode 4 had me up.
Okay, yep.
Um, there was, dare I say, much more to look at. There was a little bit more depth to the dynamics of everybody. Um, I understand how it was the highest rated of the season so far. It's been my favorite episode so far. It was the easiest watch, and not just the first time, but also the second time around.
Mm-hmm. Forgot to mention, as we discussed, moving off location from the resort, the yacht played a big role in this
For
episode as
sure.
well. And if you saw the previews, it's going to play a big role next week as well. So that's going to help this last 4, and I,
For
I really
sure.
think something's going to be coming.
But
I
I
think
need to
just
know. I'm sorry not to
no,
cut
go
you
ahead,
off.
go ahead, go ahead.
I need to know, where did Greg Gary get this yacht from? Is this last season's yacht?
Rachel, on everything I love, when that yacht showed up on camera, the first thing I said to myself is, "Yo, is that the yacht that Tanya got on?"
Come on.
I, First of all, it doesn't look like it. I haven't done any research to see,
Hmm.
but for the record, I don't know if anybody out there has recently looked up the price of boats and yachts.
They are not cheap.
Now here's all right. So here's my thing right now. Here's what I'm struggling with a little bit.
Hmm.
We find out this episode that Greg.
Hmm.
Greg has been wanted for questioning in Italy,
Uh-huh.
and apparently, especially after his conversation with Tim,
Hmm.
people that move to Thailand are either hiding something or they're looking for
Or
something.
looking for something. Uh-huh.
We know that Greg is hiding.
Yeah.
So if Greg is hiding and he's a suspect of a murder, is he still entitled to what's left after Tanya's death? I'm assuming he's the beneficiary. I'm assuming.
Sole beneficiary.
So did he get that money? Obviously, he had to in order to afford to
Yeah,
move to
that's the only
Thailand.
way he could live over there.
Yeah, it's just that's a whole situation. I don't know, man.
But
Either way,
interesting, because I need to look. I know that Bali, which is in Indonesia, has a no extradition law. That's why your favorite mogul is over there. But I don't know about Thailand. So I actually should have looked that up, but I didn't. But I would be very curious. And I guess we do know that he is in fact hiding from someone, the authorities.
well, and I don't want to skim through this. Apparently, there are some. I don't want to call them loopholes,
Hmm.
but maybe some bullet points when it comes to extradition in
Okay.
Thailand, and maybe Greg just has enough money where that's not a problem.
Where he's okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so we'll see what happens with that.
Hmm.
So I guess we can start real quick with Belinda since we're
Yeah.
mentioning this because there's not a ton to talk about this episode other than the fact we know that she's expecting her son, and we
Mhm.
also hear some sneaking, maybe some creaking of the wood around her room.
Yeah.
Like someone's there, and it's like, all right, not too much to be alarmed about, but obviously they're building the tension between Greg and Belinda.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she decides, and you know it's real if you watch this scene. We've all been in a situation where something's just on our mind
For sure.
and it's fucking with us. And she's in the midst, she's just chilling. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if she was reading a book on her laptop and she just, nah, fuck this. Like she got up, like, nah, I need answers. Like I'm not letting this slide. I know I'm not crazy.
You know when you know somebody.
I know this person. Like I'm not crazy. Like I gotta find out what's what.
Not just is your face familiar, that I know you from the millions of people who come through the White Lotus doors every year, but I really know you because you and your glory you took my dream from me behind this
Mm-hmm.
woman. I know
Mm-hmm.
exactly who the fuck you are. This is a face I'll never forget.
It's funny you even mentioned that, Rachel, because on surface, when you watch episode 3
Mm-hmm.
and you see Belinda go up to that table,
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy for your first thought to be, well, damn, she wouldn't go up to anybody else's table from the White Lotus. Like she would, a random guest that stayed at the White Lotus, she wouldn't just walk up and say, "Hey, I
Not at
saw
all.
you in Maui,"
Yep.
or "Hey, I gave you a massage." It just
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't happen. She'd just be like, "Oh, I recognize them," and keep it moving. To
Mm-hmm.
your point, Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
you represent a different life that I could
A
have had.
dream deferred.
I could have been here on my own dime versus
Yep.
trying to get information to
Yep.
bring back to White Lotus Maui.
Yep.
Right? That was a whole thing that honestly, low key, without the handshake, a handshake agreement. Like I was made to believe that this was happening.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden it wasn't. It really is not about you. I just want to know where Tanya up to. Where is
Mm-hmm.
she? Like what's going on? What happened? And then I found out through my Google searches,
That she done went on to glory.
yeah, Tanya's gone. Christina's gone. Tanya is out of here. She's went on to glory
Mm-hmm.
along with 3 other bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a crazy ass headline to read about somebody that you don't know, but you know. Like I know you, even though it was a short span of time in her life,
Mm-hmm.
those 6 days, that week
Mm-hmm.
left an imprint on her. And once again, represents a dream deferred. So what
Yep.
the fuck? The woman that was gonna start my business is dead. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm seeing the dude that's here. Now, Greg dumbass, I don't know why he went with Gary. I don't know why you wouldn't go with something that maybe starts with a different letter.
Right. Because he old and had to think of something easy.
Stupid shit. But obviously, yeah, fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
Um, she knows something up because why would you lie about that? I know you, my nigga. And now
Right.
you changed your name to Gary and your wife did, and you were suspect for questioning, and they said you've been hard to get a hold of. Like you refuse to cooperate. You was
Mm-hmm.
tricky, you shady,
You
and I
shade.
know some shit is up.
Yeah.
And I want to see how she handles because they had the look in the lobby,
Mm-hmm.
and Greg tells his girl, I gotta go home and take care of something.
Yep.
It's very important. We gonna see. We gonna see.
Did you think that Greg Gary immediately recognized Belinda or not until?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And the only reason I say that is because I didn't do a rewatch of episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
I did the fast forward version where I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, let me see if something sparks my memory to where I stop. And
Yeah.
that's one of the scenes I stopped on. And when she came over to that table, he did the double look. He knew
Oh,
exactly who she was.
got it. Okay.
That look of you when you're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing, and then you see somebody that ain't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Shout out to your story, your IG story earlier. By the way, about the soulmates. But that shit was hilarious. But
That's
when you doing something you ain't supposed to be doing and see somebody you didn't expect to see,
mm-hmm.
that's one of them looks. He
That's
held
it.
it as best as he could, but if you rewatch that scene, he definitely knew
He
who
definitely
Belinda was.
for sure. For sure.
100%. And just going on to your point that you mentioned, every night at dinner,
Mm-hmm.
I heard about you.
Mm-hmm. Every
It
night.
wasn't it wasn't just, oh, that's my husband. I see you at the beginning of the trip and I see you at the end. I heard things, intimate things
Intimate.
about you.
Yep. And not even because he wasn't even her husband yet. She met that man.
They was
She,
fucking on they was fucking on the resort. That's all that was.
that's all that was. Yep.
I like him, Tanya. I
Uh-huh.
like him, but literally, you didn't even see when season 2 came around. We found out they were married. That was like, oh shit.
Right.
So yeah, man. I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting. All right. So we got the girls. We got the Ratliff family. We got Guy Talk. Let's talk about Guy Talk. All right. Let's just go straight there. Um, I'm rooting for Guy Talk, but bruh, you gotta sometimes. I feel like we've all been approached by someone, or maybe someone has shown interest.
Mm-hmm.
And in our head, the first thought is, you must be fucking crazy.
That's how Mook feel about Guy Talk.
Yeah, you must be fucking crazy, bro. And Mook is it's the worst type of feeling. I'm not saying she's the worst, but for Guy Talk, it's got to be the worst type of feeling because Mook genuinely loves him. She
Yes.
genuinely cares.
That's
It's
her.
easier when it's like beat it, nigga, scram. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I don't like you the way you want me to like you, but I
Yeah.
genuinely love you, and I'm going to show. So you still get that love, but it's not in the way you want it, and that can
Right.
be real weird to navigate,
For
especially
sure.
with someone like Guy Top, because it makes sense to him on paper because he's known her forever, the whole nine. But she's looking like, bruh, like you set yourself up, and he trying. Yeah, don't forget about our date tomorrow. All right, nigga. Yeah, you can go on your date. She getting big dogs. Like that's
Big
just
Mook
what
is
it
not
is.
thinking about Guy Talk at the fuck all beyond the
Mm-hmm.
ride on his scooter when hers is broken down. She wants the danger of it all. She
Mm-hmm.
wants some excitement because she, like him, is a nice girl who's only been on this island, probably has not even been to Bangkok. Um, and here are these men with stories and whatnot. She said that episode, maybe one, here they are with experience and stories and have seen things and done things. What you got? This desk. And
Yeah.
finally, a gun. It's crazy that you didn't have not even like a baton or anything at this security desk. What were you supposed to do with that?
Hey man, them robbers are like, oh, this nigga sweet. Like
Come,
this is an easy lick.
come on. I also do believe the robbers are Valentine's friends. Go ahead.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be, right?
Gotta
Gotta
be.
be. You because we know we called that out in our last episode. That's an inside job.
Yes.
100%. Like no question about it. I did
Uh
not think about them.
huh.
I thought maybe there's a deeper, darker criminal link with the security guards. But your theory makes a little bit more sense because it seems like this episode, the security guards care
Mm-hmm.
about their job, at least their duty.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's the benefit of us sabotaging our own place of business?
That part.
Yeah, and so yeah, and
And
we're securing one of the most powerful people
that's
in
exactly what I
Thailand.
was about to say.
So what would be the point of us jeopardizing this? So
That
yeah, that makes sense.
and if Chitala's husband is who Rick thinks he is, I'm not playing with his wife.
Fair,
Come
fair.
on.
That's absolutely
Or
yeah.
his,
You got a great
because
point.
it's his resort too.
That's a great point. And half of Thailand
Yeah.
owns a resort and half of Thailand.
Yeah.
The only other thing really to notice or to mention about Guy Talk is he gets a gun.
Mm-hmm.
He is set down and pretty much told like, "Hey, you're a nice guy, buddy,
We
but
like you.
we like you. We like you." uh, but this ain't when you first got hired. Like crime is kicked up.
Yep.
We need you to step it up a little bit.
Yep.
And I kind of blame the resort a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because you got to be able to see that. You got to be able to see he's not fit for that. There's plenty of things. Rachel, there are countless jobs in
Mm-hmm.
hospitality that
Uh-huh.
Guy Talk would excel in.
Come on.
Securing shit ain't one of them. So you
It
got to
ain't
take a little bit of ownership to that shit.
uh,
You got to take a little bit of ownership to that shit, man.
yeah.
Like, don't, yeah, you got to. You got to. So, but he gets a gun. He's told, like, we want you at the shooting range, learn how to fire this shit. He's so thirsty to walk Mook to her dance that he forgets to lock up his gun, and
Bruh.
then next thing you know, it's taken. Now we see that Tim takes it because of some news that he got, and maybe that's a perfect transition to talk about the Rattlers.
But how the fuck did Tim even know that that gun was there? Why is he in there in that office digging around like that?
So that's the thing, right? The scene where he's on the phone, he gets off the phone, he looks up.
Mm-hmm.
As he looks in the office, but the gun was on a desk. It doesn't seem like it would have been visible to where
That's
he saw it and said, "Oh, I'm getting in." So it did feel weird to me
mm-hmm.
because why would I randomly go in this place and look for a gun?
That part.
I don't know. It just felt a little bit different for me. I don't know. But Tim is going through it as we
Mm-hmm.
talk about the Ratliffs. First of all, at this point, he's full on dependent of
Yes.
Victoria's pills, like full on dependent. Like he to the point he stole the whole prescription. Like
I'm trying to tell you.
Victoria came out to the family and said, "Hey, I just got this pill and I know there's some missing."
Uh-huh.
Like she's concerned about her own well-being while she's on this trip.
Yeah.
The kids are all looking like, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. Tim's obviously not saying it. Tim literally has his dick in his hand,
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure things out. He goes from taking a few to, you know what? Fuck this. I'm taking a bite.
Yeah.
And still not owning up to it. And he is at this point, like I said, dependent on him because his life is falling apart. My man's stressed out. It's a funny little time for Tim, man. Funny little time.
How did the Ratliffs get an invite to the boat?
Because of Jackson. Jackson was talking to Greg Gary's Saxon, excuse me. Saxon was talking to Greg Gary's girl, and that's how they got the invite.
Yes.
Which
they're gonna
Greg Gary, 100%, which is weird. But Greg Gary looking over that boat, looking down like, nigga, I will off you.
And we know he'll do it.
But I think that's one of those things that I've never been. I forget the name that they called him.
A cuckold?
No, I've definitely not been that.
Oh.
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though. In episode 1 of season 3, there was a reference to the bald white dudes, the losers back home, whatever they called them.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but I'm assuming that when you're 50, 60-year-old bald white man and you got money, and you pay for your partner, dating apps, whatever, they're paying for them. Let's just keep it a buck and say what it is.
For sure.
I think it's expected that they're gonna went out and as Saxon said, want some young cum.
Let me tell you.
And as Bernie Mac said in Kings of Comedy, I'll watch. I swear I'll watch.
At one point in my life, I had an older gentleman caller. You do, in fact, want some young cum. It doesn't matter how strapping they are, how virile. It's nothing like a youngish nigga your age. When that old nigga, that old boring nigga gets boring. And I don't care how many blue pills you have to stay on a regimen. You ain't about to be fucking getting worms for nothing.
Yeah, man. Shit, I'm not fucking with that at all. I'm not fucking with that comment. Jackson, speaking of Jackson, he's getting the party started on the boat. He sees, and I feel like this is the theme of this episode. I keep saying we all know somebody we've all experienced, right? We all know someone that's high key lame, but they still make shit shake. You don't know how. You try to understand it.
Say his name, but yeah.
You try to understand it, and it's like, I can't believe this nigga got motion. And it's not even real motion. It's the potential. They get the motion to the point where, depending on how this night goes, shit could go my way. It's never guaranteed motion, but I'm gonna get close enough to that 1 yard line that I might score.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
you sit back looking, and the next day you wake up like, how the fuck did this nigga pull that off?
Uh-huh. Your
And
sweet
that's
baby
Jackson.
Saxon.
Saxon. I keep calling him Jackson. Uh, that's a whole nother thing. That's he Saxon got him beat.
Yeah. Oh, for
Or
sure.
no, he's lower on the totem pole than
Yeah.
Saxon, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yes.
Like that's completely mind-boggling to me. Like I just that'll never make Saxon makes a little. At least a nigga got some bread.
Yeah. Yeah. Comes from it.
Either way. Um, that's gonna show more of its like course as we get into episode 5. You can tell by the
Mm-hmm.
previews.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing about this is now that there's this party on the boat, which Gary or Greg slash Gary can't make it to because he had some important things to take care of at the house.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna go on the yacht, and I believe episode 5 is actually titled Yacht Party or something like that.
Yeah.
The important thing is, since they're staying on the yacht, Lockie, who had made a promise to Piper
Mm-hmm.
that I got your back at dinner once you make this announcement that you want to move over here, is looking at Piper like, you'll be all right. You got this.
I'm actually having fun with the hoes for a change.
Trying to make this is actually I'm able to drink. I might not know what I like,
Right.
but it's
Right.
the perfect time to find out.
Exactly that. And I'm having fun. This is the first time we saw Lockie have fun.
Yeah, he is this season's version of the Sun in season 2.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name at all, but just a really sweet kid.
Yeah.
And that's Lockie. Obviously, he's younger than what the Sun was. The Sun went to Stanford, so I think he was like 23 or
Yeah.
so in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would
Lockie, we
say
know, is
it's
to be
out,
18.
but it might not be.
Albie sounds exactly right.
Okay.
Albie sounds exactly right. But yeah, he's having fun. I'm actually enjoying this time.
Yeah. My
Drinks
brother,
always help that.
who I'm usually very put off by, is actually again making something happen. He's contributing to the fun that I'm having. I'm getting to experience him in a way that I really kind of never have. I'm seeing him in his element considering the age gap between them.
It is Albie, by the
Mm.
way. Albie DeGrasso, some great work by the recall. But yeah, you can see it. You can see if Saxon was normal,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can see that moment, that family
Yeah.
vacation, because it does get, if anybody's grown up with siblings who are significantly older,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mean like 10, 20 years, but 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Let's put it like this. If you didn't go to school together, if you didn't have that interaction in the
Mm-hmm.
hallways of school, you didn't
Yeah.
have the teacher saying you such and such sibling,
Mm-hmm.
like that's different. That's a different connection than when I was a senior in high school, he was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like it's just
Exactly.
different.
And that's what I think about their age difference looks like.
Yeah, like he was a 5th grader when he was a senior.
Yeah.
And Piper was somewhere in the middle, maybe 8th grade or
Eighth
so.
grade.
Because Piper doesn't give me, and that's probably why Piper and Lockie are so close. They're probably 2 or 3 years apart. So there's
Right.
probably that. Hey, my senior year, you're a freshman or you're a sophomore.
Uh-huh.
We have that experience. We rode to school together. Like
Yeah.
there's something to say about these bus rides or these car rides and these just.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's going around the school circles. I want to make sure you good. If I hear like it's something about
Yeah.
that. If you ever went to school with family, and Saxon just doesn't have it, but it does seem like a cool big brother moment. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
looking at my big brother. Man, wish we was talking about Raising Kanan tonight because there's an incredible scene about that Marvin had when he said, "Man, you know what it looks like to see your dad do that to another grown man,"
Mm.
and I feel like Lockie is having that moment. Like I'm seeing my big brother move and shake.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel like I can move and shake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To the point where we know he's much closer to Piper and he's ditching Piper, which
And
is
he's ditching Piper.
not
And
only is he ditching her, he's ditching her after he promised, I got your back.
yes, but did he promise? He's also
Fair.
put off by her moving This affects me. What about me? Because you have been my safe haven because we are closer in age. We were going to share a damn room when we got here. Be it
Hey,
not for Saxon, like, hey, what the fuck is you on? Y'all too
yeah,
damn big to be sharing the room. And he's correct.
it's
You
fair.
know,
Yeah, absolutely.
he's correct. But he don't want Piper ass to move all the way to fucking Thailand from Durham, North Carolina. They probably live in Cary. From Cary. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like, come on, what are we talking about here? So actually, I am gonna go have fun. You drag me, Loki. Piper is on his shit list. You drag me to this temple that you wouldn't even go in. Now
Mhm.
we here. We got to give up our phones because of this shit that you got us on. Now you telling me that you're moving here? Not just are you moving here, but the whole premise of us coming is a farce so that you could peep out the scenery to see where you're gonna live, not so you could work on your thesis or whatever the hell you told your parents.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm going on the yacht. I'm going to kick it. Good luck with that.
If y'all only know about these yachts and the White Lotus, y'all, maybe y'all have other decisions. And it's funny because Chelsea mentioned something. I don't know if it was, I think it was episode 3. She mentioned something about like Final Destination,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was this episode. She mentioned like
I think this
everything
one.
happening. Yeah, yeah, Final Destination. I'm thinking like, man, that yacht's some Final Destination shit when it comes to the White
Lots of
Lotus. But
foreboding. Lots of foreboding. That Victoria in the tsunami dream, something
mm-hmm.
is coming. That I think that is one thing that the show, even in, I don't want to say the lackluster of the series season so far, they do a good job about foreboding the danger
Mm-hmm.
that is soon to come. They do weave that in beautifully.
Absolutely. Well said. The only other thing really about the Rat Lips is we know that Tim is having some issues.
Man.
Pretty much like and I'm sorry. Having some issues is probably the lightest way I can say what Tim is going
The
through.
the
Jail time,
going to jail.
fines, frozen assets, you name it, nigga. There is no plea of not guilty. There is no plea. Your best course of action is to plead guilty and cooperate. That's how
Because
you know you win some shit.
Kenny's already taken the deal. It's this lawyer that I follow on Twitter, and she always says, once the FBI gets involved in your case, they already know the
They got
case is
everything.
made. They're just doing extra
Mm-hmm.
digging, extra investigation. The case is made, babe. And so that one little deal that was only 10 million, you only made 10 mil off of this embezzlement, this, that, and the third, the only of it all. Was it worth it?
Of course not.
Greed. Greed,
Greed is
greed, greed. The see, back to that Bible. Back to being a thumper. The love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. Not money, the
mm-hmm.
love of it. So when you be greedy for riches and wealth, you get to be doing bullshit. And that's why you're gonna be in the clank, clankety clank. Shout out to Karen Huger. Go.
that that's that's some real shit that you just said, Rachel. And you got to get permission. The
Come on.
feds is almost like the mob.
Yeah.
You got to get permission before you move forward. You
Yep.
can't just pull. You can't just roll out a case and hope that shit stick.
Yeah.
There's avenues you have to go through that
Yeah.
somebody gives you the green light to
Yeah.
yes, you can pursue this. Um, I, this has gotten Tim to the point where not only am I considering unaliving, because he said I will die first
Bruh.
before take my assets and
Yeah.
go to jail, do any of this. I will never be able to work in finance again. Like my career is over at this point.
Yeah.
And y'all taking all my shit. He's down to the point where not only, and I say this with respect, and I don't want to, not to get too heavy,
Mm-hmm.
because I know when you're considering unaliving yourself, there's many factors that go into that.
For
But
sure. For sure.
but
Trigger
for the
warning.
sake of this, yeah, trigger
Yeah.
warning. But for the sake of this show, we know what Tim's reason is.
Mm-hmm.
it's because of his own decisions, and to do it on vacation to where your family can see you and find you, which is what it looks like he's considering.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know shit is bad.
That's how you know shit is bad. And consider this also. We learned in the first two. Well, obviously we know that they're rich because you're at the White Lotus. But we learn that he comes from a well-to-do family. Your father was the governor. Your grandfather was the governor of North Carolina. Your father was a very, very, very good businessman. The shame of dismantling all of that coming home, I understand why I would do it here because I can't face coming home. And yes, he's very happy that his parents are um, beyond the veil, but uh, the rest of your family isn't. The rest of I'm assuming they have a foundation. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Mm-hmm.
to come back and face, because you over his dead body, he's not going to fucking jail. So to come back and face the decision and face the looks of his living family and other business partners and colleagues, I think it's just too much, and he's willing to sacrifice that, um, his own life, so that he does not have to do that. And maybe hopes that since Piper's on this religious kick, she can help everybody cope.
You mentioned we know they got money because at the White Lotus.
Hmm.
How much a night you think the White Lotus costs? What's the
Mm,
nightly rate you think?
honestly, it's a chain. Jacqueline paid for their crew,
For three of them.
for three of them. A night, one of them villas, 8 to 10 bands.
I'm thinking she's paying 8 to 10. I think Tim is probably paying 3 to 5.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. I was just curious. That has nothing to do with nothing. Just curious.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, I don't imagine Tim. Something's going to happen. Maybe a heart to heart, come to Jesus moment
Hmm.
between
He and Saxon.
no, hell no. Between he and what's his wife's name?
Victoria.
Victoria. Between him and
Hmm.
Victoria. That's gonna really make him realize that I can face this. I think
Yeah.
there's some shame that he let his family down and
And she
everything
keeps
else.
talking about how much of a Boy Scout he is. She has no idea what she's in for, and that's always the worst. She doesn't know that he deviated from his usual pristine business practices to help somebody and to make an extra measly 10 mil.
Right. Which makes sense because her viewing him as a Boy Scout is why she's yet to even look his way when it comes to her
Hmm.
bills. Like
Yep.
that's the last person. Remember, he was, I'm not taking those things. I don't like them. I don't know.
But
It's getting real tricky.
she's starting to look at him. By the At the top of episode 4 to the bottom, Big Tim is getting a little side eye from the wife.
Yeah, absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely. Um, the girls, Jacqueline, Kate, Lori.
yeah.
Not as there was no dinner conversation
Hmm.
in the same vein of episode 3. However, we do get a little bit more movement from them. Once
Yeah.
again, they leave the resort. Jacqueline, as we see, and I'll be honest with you, I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. If it wasn't for her leaving this voicemail,
Hmm.
I was starting to think that Harrison's not a real person.
Ooh. Okay.
Now I do because she obviously they showed that scene in the letter. I was starting to think that this whole she's putting on a front to make it seem like she's happier than what she is, which she still is.
Oh, for sure.
Harrison's going AWOL. We don't know what's going on. Have no idea. But whatever it is, Jacqueline is to the point where she's breaking rules. She has her phone out. And she
Hmm.
realizes, you know what? Fuck yoga.
Yeah.
Fuck sitting by this pool. Let's go find something that the locals do
Yeah. Because
and
they didn't
recruit.
get invited on the yacht.
They didn't get invited on the yacht, which is interesting.
Interesting. Because
Very, very interesting.
mm-hmm.
You would imagine so. You would imagine that be probably be your first invite, but
Yeah.
we want to find some things in the actual city. Once a fun day, asks Valentin to point them in the direction of something fun.
Mm-hmm.
He sends them to maybe a
A
retiree resort
a 50
pool,
resort.
and she looks around like something's off,
It's off. I
and then
can't
she
quite.
notices
Mm-hmm.
right away what's going on. Gets up out of there, presses Valentin. Hey, why'd you send us there? Or why you playing with me?
Yeah. Because why?
To your point, as you said earlier, Rachel, about his friends.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived long enough to know nothing happens by mistake.
A play is a play.
He sent them there so you could come back and get the real play.
Yeah.
Now I got you. Okay, you want to go a little bit deeper than this? All right, cool. Now let's get you in my territory where I know these streets
Yep.
in and out. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what he's setting up.
Mm-hmm.
He's not to be trusted.
He's not to be trusted. Let me tell you, don't fucking drop me in front of the middle of some bullshit with these water guns and then just dip. And for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
nigga.
And what you mean you gonna find me? Like how? Like
How?
what?
How? But he did.
That means he got that. That tells me, as someone who was observant of his surroundings, that tells me I've got eyes and ears on you.
Yep.
I don't have to be here to know what you're doing.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't know. The water gun fight was crazy. Mainly because, and I don't know, I want to know what you think about this.
I thought them kids was gonna rob them. Okay.
And so all right, I'm glad you said that because that's pretty much what I was getting to. They shot the scene. Max White shot the scene in a way. Kids in water gun fights, you think naturally of summertime. You think of good days. You think of innocence. It almost felt a little Jordan Peele-ish, like a little bit just menacing. Like
Yes.
nothing's. I know I shouldn't be scared of you, but you're giving me bad vibes and bad energy.
Yes.
And you
Foreboding.
waiting at you
Mm-hmm.
waiting at this door, waiting for us to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Kids normally, there's plenty of people out here to shoot and spray. We got our eyes locked on you, which
On
once
you,
again,
white people. Mm-hmm.
and we not letting you out our sights.
Yep.
Which once again, a lot of times, especially in certain places, the kids are the runners. The
Yep.
kids are the lookouts. The
Mm-hmm.
kids are the ones that's telling you what's what because they're
Yep.
the least suspected.
Yep.
You know what I mean? A lot of us adults, oh, he's just a kid. He's just a boy. We
Mm-hmm.
ain't worried about him. They the ones you got to look out for
Yeah.
sometimes. So it makes sense. But they shot it in a way where that's weird. That's a little menacing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was shot that way to let us know, hey, regardless of your privilege, regardless of your fame, regardless of your money, you ain't in Kansas no more.
You are not in Kansas. And you are defenseless. You don't even have a water gun to shoot little one back. I feel like if I would have made up a name, it would have been
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. That's I feel you. I feel you, man. Hey, professional. You're a professional. I told y'all.
Self edit, self edit.
I do it often.
Yeah, yeah. So y'all are just out there, these three white women in the middle of wherever in Thailand on this street. Nobody else is essentially being chased. Even when the camera pans to the other essentially tourists, because you do see other white people out there, but they got their water guns. Like, excuse me, they knew what they were coming to. Jacqueline and them had no idea whatsoever. And now we out here. And now you introduce us to these two other men who are also questionable.
Very much
Who
so.
also got out of Russia before the war?
Very
Trick,
much so. Very much
trick.
so. And um, take a moment just to very seriously for those traveling domestically, internationally,
Hmm.
make sure you know where the fuck you at.
Period.
Like, you know, and also like there's certain places where you stay in this area. I never forget my boy Shelt and Rachel just came from here. I'll never forget my boy Shelt told me, man, I was down in New Orleans, and them niggas told me very specifically, my nigga, just because you on Bourbon Street don't mean shit sweet.
For
Like
sure.
you go a couple blocks up this way, bro, can't nobody save you.
For sure.
Like
For sure.
there are areas in everywhere you visit, in every city you visit, there are going to be areas where, hey man, stay your ass here.
Stay your ass here. That is so funny that you said that because I immediately also thought of New Orleans, which I love. And
Yeah,
on this last trip, ended up at Super Sunday. Hey.
and one of them wards.
In the ninth ward, and my homeboy was like, "Who told you to go down there by yourself?" I said, "Oh, we was having fun. I'm an
And
adventure."
and they and there's nothing. Yeah, yes, you are. And there's nothing like that. I've had that
Mm,
where people tell me they've been to Cincinnati. They tell me where I'm like, what the fuck you doing over there?
yeah,
Like, there's
yeah,
nothing over there for you to be. There's nothing over
hmm,
there at all for to pique your interest.
yeah,
Like, get your ass from over there. So it's just funny. There is
love
some danger.
for sure. Be aware.
Maybe good danger.
Hmm.
They're giving me the friends are giving me Jack vibes from season two.
Yes,
We're here to distract you while the real
yes,
play is happening.
yes.
Um, and you're a mark. You're a mark. Like
Hmm.
you fool to us. Like, what are you talking about? You think
Hmm.
we like you?
But that is the delusion of celebrity.
Facts. We talked, and Rachel, we just talked about the delusion of grandeur.
Hmm. For sure,
Of
for sure.
grandeur. I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna see.
We gonna see.
The last thing that I said we need to discuss really is Rick and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Um, real quick note: Rick continues to get approached by this wellness instructor.
Hmm.
That's gonna mean something. I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
She mentioned that you touched my heart. I don't know what that's gonna mean in the future, but it's there's some kind of connection there that's gonna end up playing out in these last 4 episodes.
Um, I know. I think that maybe her family is one of the families Rick's father was trying to help.
Do you think she knows that, or you think it's just some kind of cosmic connection?
I think it's a cosmic connection. I don't think she knew it then, but she knows it now. Like it was some sort of um I don't want to say a repressed memory, but here he is, here he comes from the opposite side of the world, bringing it back. And she, like, I can't remember the I don't want to call him a worker, but the surf instructor maybe from season one, where it's like his family was
Oh,
mad at
Kai.
Kai. His
Yeah.
family was mad at him for working at this hotel, which is taking our land, fucking up our family, this and the third. And here she is in the same predicament.
Mm.
Um, because they lost their land and home to Shrita husband, you know?
That's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
great point.
That's what I think. And so now we have this connection to each other. Your father, maybe my parents, this and the third.
We have another connection. We have another edition of Rachel be knowing because
Ah,
Rachel said Rachel said when we recorded episode 1, Rick is a dangerous man.
yes.
While we don't know the full extent of the danger and while it might have got twisted, I think Rachel originally predicted that Rick is the guy that you hire.
Yeah, I thought he was a bad man.
He is, but he's self hired. He's
Yes.
going about his own
Yes.
business, and to go to these lengths,
He's serious.
he's serious about this.
He's serious.
So he is definitely, the whole
He's
point is
serious. He
Rachel.
don't know what he's gonna do.
Rachel said this man is here to cause harm, and damn it, we find out this man is here to cause harm.
Yeah.
And that is his whole purpose
Mm-hmm.
of even being on this trip.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he did let Chelsea in because Chelsea pretty much said, listen,
if you don't tell me it's Chop.
It's Chop, man. I can't keep doing this surface level. I don't know who you like. I'm hanging out with a stranger at this point. I came across the country with a stranger. Like, you got to let me in and let me know something. And we find out the why behind Rick's reasoning. This dude killed my dad. My dad was trying to help people. He said, fuck it.
Yeah.
And he got him up out of here because he was in the way of what his master plan was. And I'm here to come see about him. And Chelsea knows this might end up a little bit funny. I'm glad, I don't know if anybody taught her plausible deniability, but I'm glad she did not ask him, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because some things are just better left unsaid and unknown.
For sure.
But she knows, I think they showed in the previews, she knows what type of time he on. Yeah. And what's going to happen if he gets face to face with this dude. Maybe she knows how dangerous he might be because you don't own half of Thailand and don't have them motherfuckers with you.
For sure. For sure.
Not the big black shirt niggas. Not them. We talking about the Day of the Jackal. Them type. The Jason Statham type of niggas.
Okay.
You in and out. Like, nigga, you won't even know I was here.
Yeah.
One of them types. The real deep, dark internet. I need to get somebody gone. Send your best man type of people. He probably got them. Yeah. Them niggas that Sosa sent to Tony and Scarface.
Yeah.
Them type of people. So we're gonna see what Rick is about.
But I'll say it offline for again plausible deniability.
Fair enough. Yes, please. Because as Tim has taught us, the feds are always watching. So, Rachel, yes. I don't think there's anything else for us to really discuss or cover this episode. I think we really kind of went through it. I will go ahead and say episode 5 is going to be a big one for this season.
Has to be.
It's the beginning of the final 4 episodes.
Yeah.
That bait, something got to bite. Something's got to bite. We got to have one memorable moment from this episode. Actually, a few of them, but we got to have one of those big ones.
Yeah.
It's got to come in this episode. So we're going to see what happens in episode 5. I personally think, as I said, the best is yet to come. I think these 4 episodes are going to be very good. At least the final 3. This one might be the setup, and the last 3 I think might be phenomenal. We'll see what happens. Anything else before we get out of here?
Season 4, episode 4 did enough to keep me saying, or from saying, hey, you got it.
The season, and I'm going to say real quick, we didn't even tell this at the beginning, but keep in mind, y'all, we had full plans of recording episode 3 together. So we were in the same city, in the same household.
Yeah.
And woke up Monday morning and was like, wasn't shit to talk about.
It wasn't shit to talk about. Yeah. Intentionally watched it separately so we could come together to discuss it and break it down for you all, but it just didn't. There was no meat in that house. That's some more Bible for y'all.
Fair enough, man. Rachel, I think that's it. I think we covered it all.
I think we got enough.
Thank you to everyone out there for tuning in. Actually got more conversation than what we thought before we pressed record.
Yes.
So shout out to you, Rachel, for even being able to make this happen. As I mentioned earlier, Raising Canaan, we'll be here. Check us out. Please stay subscribed. We'll be back with a new episode of White Lotus next Tuesday. Raising Canaan
Yeah.
is Saturday/Sunday. Actually, take that back. Raising Canaan will be like Thursday, and then we'll start getting on our rotation. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out, y'all. Stay
Well,
subscribed. Yeah.
if episode 5 is a bust, it'll be looped in with episode 6.
Yeah, if you haven't caught on by now, if these standalone episodes aren't enough, we were combining them.
Yeah.
Which is why you're getting this a little bit late. But we here. We appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week, later this week, everything else in between. Y'all be cool. Y'all be cool.
Peace out. Merry Christmas blessings.
We out. You tell me.